Yes. Okay. I have no problem with that. Let me just look here. Sorry. There you are. Okay. You know, every time, okay. Okay. Okay, every time that we look at our strategic management, this one thing that when you are a PhD, then you can what you call try to conceptualize. Okay, you know when you can conceptualize. Okay, and let me just show you my PowerPoint presentation. Okay, I hope you can see it. Can you?
Yes.
Okay, so I look into what I call now my strategic framework. Okay, this one I started to say, and this is chapter 9 of my textbook. So what is really the strategy framework? Okay, so we keep on talking about strategy, but what is it all about? Okay, so now I look now at, okay, I'd like to look at what we call our strategy timeline. So I started with this. And I said, when we started strategy, it started from the prehistory strategy. And that was seen in early, you know, during the war. And it is exemplified by Sun Tzu, a Chinese general, philosopher, and he wrote the book. I mean, he did not write the book, but somebody wrote the book. And that book was The Art of War, Sun Tzu, The Art of War. And that was even published 400 BC. So did Sun Tzu write the book? I don't think he was the one who wrote the book. In fact, there is no really, Sun Tzu never wrote his book, but there were people who wrote about his Art of War. So that was the start of strategy, and that was during the time of Sun Tzu. Then later on, of course, we have another strategies, and this time it is in the 1513. And one of the most prominent strategies is actually the Prince by Niccolo Machiavelli. So who is Niccolo Machiavelli? He was actually an assistant of one of the kings, you know, in Great Britain, if I'm not mistaken, or in France. And he was one person, he was not a good strategist. He was actually a bad strategist. And so he was advising the emperor or the king in the wrong way. So that, you know, when people say you are Machiavellian, from the word Machiavelli, his name is, when somebody says, you know, Dr. So-and-so, you are Machiavellian, that is not a praise, that is a bad term. Why? Because strategy is also, you know, not always good. You can be a bad strategist. And so you look at the person of Niccolo Machiavelli when he wrote the book, The Prince. Okay? Then later in the 1960s and 70s, then strategy started to be more what? More structured. Okay, more structured. And you will see that we have very important people here in the person of Alfred Chandler, who wrote the book Strategy and Structure. Okay, and that was in 1962. And then later on, you have Corporate Strategy by Igor Ansov. So they started now to put, you know, meaning in strategy. And so you have Igor Ansov, okay, who wrote the book Corporate Strategy. So actually it is strategy in the context of, okay, in the context of how to run a company. And of course, after that, you will see the most popular, what? The most popular, and we call him our management guru, we have Peter Drucker. So Peter Drucker was known for his Age of Continuity, and that was written in 1969. Now, as we evolved in the 1980s, the more popular, I think you know, everybody you know, Michael Porter, when he wrote his book, Competitive Strategy, in 1980. And then it was followed by a Japanese by the person of Kenichi Omei. And Kenichi Omei beautifully wrote about the mind of the strategist. So you speak of a person who is very strategic, and you look at how, what is the mind? How does a strategist think? See? So we all talk about strategic management or strategy, but there are only very few who are very strategic. And so he wrote about the mind of the strategist. So that is the book that was written by Konichi Omei. Okay, then let's continue. I look at the timeline here. Then, of course, in 1982, we had a book written by Noel Tichy, and he wrote the book Managing Strategic Change. And here, he looked into strategy now, technically, politically, and culturally. Okay, so I'm looking at the timeline. I'm just trying to look at very important people during the development of strategy. Then we go to 1990. In 1990, the most popular, in fact, a big bestseller actually, was Peter Senge. And Peter Senge spoke about the fifth discipline. The fifth discipline, okay? And he expounded strategy in learning. So now the concept of Peter Senge is about learning. Strategy is learning, okay? Then, so it became more popular, but in 1994, we have Henry Mintzberg, who said, the rise and fall of strategic planning. So is it always good to have strategic planning? No. Because sometimes strategic planning is not always okay. So you have the rise, the popularity, but you also experience the fall of strategic planning. Okay? And so in 1997, we have another book called Ari de Gu, and that was The Living Company. And Ari de Gu made studies, okay, about certain companies that were in existence for, so many years, but actually many of them died. Okay, you will see now other books like In Search of Excellence. Okay, and therefore from the years 2000 to the present, we have seen new ways of looking at strategy, whether it is in companies, in government, in technology, in hospital operations, in the allied health, okay, in education. So you see now that strategy or strategic management has become a very popular subject, okay? Is it easy to teach strategic management? No, because you want to go into the mind of the individual. Remember, not all of us are born strategists. Okay, you can keep on talking about strategic management, but how many are you? How many of us are strategic? Okay, so when you say I'm strategic, am I really strategic? So that is the question, okay, for strategic management. Because we teach the course, but are we strategically thinking? So maybe I'd like now to go into some concepts that I tried to, visualize. And when I talk about strategic, may I just go first to what strategic management is all about, okay? So just a way of trying to tell us, we just have to treat strategic management really from a different perspective. So I'll go to the first chapter actually, just my definition of strategy, no? Okay, so let me again present this one. Okay, and yeah, just try to look at it very closely, and really what is strategic management, we overuse the word. We just want to say we are strategic, we're experts, but are we really teaching it the right way? Okay. So actually, this is the first chapter of my book. And of course, I will not anymore go into, the situation now, the spirit of hyper competition. Okay. I'd like to really go into a very good definition of strategic management. And this is actually my definition of strategic management. Okay. So we say strategic management, number one, is continuous. Yes, it is continuous. It never stops. Okay. Uh, and it's a process, and therefore you go into creating of strategy. You just have to keep on creating strategies. So again, you will look at how do I look at strategic management. Okay. And of course, I made mention here, as typically in other strategic management books, you talk about strategic analysis, strategic decision making, of course, strategy implementation and formulation, monitoring, and then maintaining it such that we are aligned with the policies of the company, okay, or whatever it is, the government, and so on. So I'd like to look into, okay, I will go deliberately into all of this. These are the facets of strategic management. What are the processes? Number one, I'm very proud of this concept that I try to be sure, I said, you've got to analyze, okay? You've got to analyze. If I am strategic, if you are strategic, we have to look at the environment. So when people say, Dr. Okay, let's say Dr. Abdul, you are strategic. What is the meaning of being strategic? Every time I make a decision, take note, every time I make a decision, I always look at the external and the internal environment. You can never be strategic if you think you are myopic. You know what's myopic? You are short-sighted. It's like you wear eyeglasses and you cannot even, you only see what is in front of you. If you're strategic, you're able to look at the surroundings of the environment. So when people say, Dr. Young, I just have to, study what I'm teaching. No, you should know what's happening in the government. You should know what's happening outside of Indonesia. So are you conscious of the elections in the United States? Because so much you can learn from what's happening in the midterm elections, in the United States. So are you strategic? Do you know that there is inflation in America and even in Europe? There's inflation. So I'm a teacher, okay? But do I know what's happening outside? Am I just looking? Am I just looking at my school or my company? No, it cannot be that way. When somebody says you're strategic, you can never make an analysis if you're only looking at a certain specific environment. And so when you say strategic, how can you analyze if you have, if you don't look at the external and the internal environment? So that's one exercise in strategic management. Okay, second, process. Of course, the second process is what we call decision making. Okay, you need to make decision making, but did you consider everything? Okay, again, you can only have decision making, but are you strategic in your decision making? Did you look into all what's happening? Okay, did you look at your resources, whether it is people, whether it is financial, whether it is operational? Did you look at your competitors? And is it the right time to make the decision? Because we can make decisions, but is it the right time to do it? Okay, that is strategic decision making. Okay, Then, of course, we know everything about strategic formulation. You formulate your strategies, and of course, you implement it. Now, one of the last thing that we always forget, we have so many plans, okay? We plan this, we plan that, but we never have strategic control. What is control? Monitoring. So when you are in school or when you are, in a company, do you monitor your people? Do you look at their indicators, their performance? Okay, these are 5 processes of strategic management. So I start with strategic analysis, decision making, formulation, implementation, and control. Or I always want to call it strategic monitoring. Because when you monitor, you also have an evaluation, or what we call now your feedback session, right? Okay. Now, very
Dr.
important
Eka,
here.
Dr. Eka will asking you, bro.
Yeah, questions? Okay. Let me go back. Yes. Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, my dear students. Okay, Echo.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. It was very good, actually. Just a little bit question. From all the strategy there, is that really required to measure or not?
Oh, okay. Nowadays, Echo, usually strategies should have metrics. The trend now in strategic planning, for example, is actually to come out with key performance indicators. So sometimes you call it key results areas. So people now tend to say, how will I know if you achieve something? If you did not measure, you cannot measure it. Okay, although of course, even human capital, I ask you, Echo, even attending a seminar, can you measure whether the person gained something from attending a seminar?
Yes, we're supposed able to measure them.
Yeah, how will you measure it, Echo?
For example, let's say after finish the seminar, we give them some kind of a quiz or some kind of a short question, and then how good or how far they are able to answer the question.
Yeah, but when they attend seminars, is it only they learn something, or they can also implement what they learned?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see
But
the challenge, Echo?
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. If for the implementations, maybe it's take several time, but at least from the point of the seminar that provided by the speaker, maybe. So at least we can see how the attendee is able to respond.
Yeah,
That's my point of view. Yeah.
Okay, Echo, that's only the first step, understanding.
Yeah.
Huh?
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so any more questions okay, let me continue. Okay. If there is no question, maybe Dr. B, you can call always my attention if there's somebody who wants to ask question. But very good question, actually. Okay.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, one thing that I want to show to you, I'm excited about this thing that, I tried to conceptualize. Actually, when I was in the States, I was so inspired. And so I came out with this framework. Okay. And this one, just, it's something that I did not copy from anybody. Because when I write a book, I try to conceptualize, and that is what I want you to be. Okay. So remember, we spoke about strategic analysis, decision making, formulation, implementation, and control. Okay. So I invented an arrow here, and I say, when you're able, okay, again, you can agree or disagree with me, no? Okay, because I'm not saying I'm good, okay? Because maybe many of you are better than me. But when I speak of strategic analysis, do you know we develop our strategic intelligence? Yeah, so I said, what is really strategic intelligence? Strategic intelligence is the capability of an organization Okay, and I'm talking about the person also. So you can be strategic as a person, or you can be strategic as a company. I will just use the word organization because it is more general. Okay, strategic intelligence is the capability, let's say, of the person or the organization to possess relevant and related knowledge. Okay, that's first one. And then your ability, and then your foresight. Very hard to develop foresight and way of thinking, that you are able now to assess the strength and vulnerabilities, the pressing challenges confronting the company, as well as the trends and opportunities in the environment. So what am I saying? Many of us individually need to develop our strategic intelligence. And where do we get some of you are good strategically. Some of you are strategically intelligent, but some of you are more strategically intelligent. And there are people who are really strategically intelligent. Okay, why? Again, remember when we speak of analysis, you should be able to know the environment. And as you are analyzing, you are now making your intelligence grow. So it is not something that, oh, I wake up one day and I say, I'm very intelligent strategically. No, it is a process that a person will undergo. It is a process that a company will undergo. You start building your strategic intelligence, right? So, when I was looking at it, I said, yeah, because, I tell you honestly, a person who is strategic is very expensive. Very expensive. In my university, I would like to work with somebody who is strategic. I want to find out whether I have people who are strategically intelligent. Okay? So it's so hard to find people who are strategically intelligent. Now, how do you get the strategic intelligence? By doing always strategic analysis. And what is strategic analysis? You always refer to the environment. Okay, isn't it beautiful? Strategic intelligence. Okay, my next concept, okay, is let's now go to, okay, we'll look at it. Strategic decision making. Okay, strategic decision making. So I will go now to my next slide. Okay, and let me go into strategic decision making. Okay, when you have strategic decision making, what do you develop? You develop now what? Okay, you develop now, okay, your strategic thinking. When you are deciding, you look at, everything. You weigh now all your alternatives. Okay, you look at what are your opportunities, what are the things that you will do. When you do strategic decision making, then your strategic intelligence now gives you the ability to what? To think strategically. And so you are now enhancing your capability of strategic thinking. Okay, do you agree with me? So strategic thinking is a result of being able to do strategic decision making. So strategic thinking is the cognitive, remember, cognitive, it's the mind where you process and you weigh the factors and arrive at certain decisions. Again, I always say, in the context of what? In the context of the environment. Or another term that I use is the milieu, okay, of which the person and the company is part of. Isn't it again beautiful? Okay, so strategic thinking. Now, I go back again to my next slide. We said we talked about what? We talk about the next one. Aside from strategic thinking, okay, we go here, okay? And if you look at it, we say, okay, when we have strategic thinking, strategic decision making, we go into strategic thinking. Now, when we now formulate our strategies, okay? When we formulate our strategies, what do we achieve? Organizational competitiveness, okay? So let's try to find out what is now organizational competitiveness. Okay, I go back to this one and I say, what is strategic competitiveness? Okay. It pertains now to the ability of any business or company to utilize, okay, to utilize the company, the resources optimally. Okay, when you say optimum, okay, when you speak of resources, okay, you talk about maximum level and you talk about performance and productivity. So the organizational, okay, because of strategic formulation, the company is able to create its competitive advantage. I think you're familiar with competitive advantage. Okay, you're very familiar with the word competitive advantage. And that is true also for the individual. As you go into very well thought of strategic formulation, then you're able to enhance your organizational competitiveness. Okay, next one. Okay, now let's go to the next process that we have. We talk about strategic implementation. Now, what happens if you have strategic implementation? When you're able to implement it strategically, then you create now your comparative advantage. So in relation with other companies, in relation, again, if I want to look at it from a personal perspective, then I create my own comparative advantage. Okay? So you are a PhD, you are a doctor. Okay? What will make you different from another doctor? Okay? Create your competitive advantage. And in the process of creating your competitive advantage, you create your own comparative advantage. In other words, you compare. Okay, let's say I'm a secretary in a school. Okay, I should be the best secretary. Okay, I cannot say that, you know, even if I'm just a secretary, I should be the best secretary. So I now create my comparative advantage. Okay, and the last one is strategic control. And strategic control is actually monitoring. And when you say monitoring, then what do you achieve? You achieve strategic performance. Okay? And when you say strategic performance, you have a high level of performance, you have a high level of productivity, you have a high level of efficiency, you have a high level of what? Of effectiveness. So all of these things. So actually strategic management is beautiful. From the concept itself, if we do it in the right way, then strategic management is good. Okay. Any comment? Yeah? When
Yes, Dr. Felina.
Okay. Yes.
Yes. Thank
Yeah.
you. Very interested. I like it so much.
Really?
So,
okay. Thank you.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. It's really interested about this strategy. I just pop up that this, as you explained just now about the strategic management,
Yes.
consists of all the strategic planning, monitoring, and analyze everything. I try to relate with this one, you know, PDCA, the plan, do, check, and action. Is this about similar, right?
PDCA?
Yes.
Plan and then do and then act,
check,
and then
check and action. Yes.
Okay. Actually, PDCA is actually more of a quality process. Oh, it's a quality process actually that you now look into. It's a quality tool. It is part of strategic management, but it is only one component of strategic management, but it is not strategic management.
I see.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Now I have a question. I now ask you a question. what is now the difference? Okay, I want you to think, what is now the difference between strategic management and strategic planning? Have you ever
Strategic
thought
plan,
about it?
strategic planning, as I understand, is more on the how to plan the thing strategically. Strategically means that able to meet all the challenges and able to achieve, let's say, the best target, but still more on the planning. But the management is a more advanced or more complete how to achieve all those plans and manage it in operation, in process, in control, everything, KPI measure everything until really achieve the best result. Maybe
Okay,
like
anybody? Yeah, I just want to hear from others.
Yes,
What do you
please.
think about, yeah, what about, yeah, anybody? Any thoughts about, I know you're experts in strategic management, but, when I was writing the book, this book, I asked somebody, I asked a teacher in strategic management, my teacher, my faculty, and I asked him, Ray, I said, what is really the difference between strategic management and strategic planning? Because, if I write a book, I should know what strategic management and planning, how different are they, right? Because the process is the same, right? The process of planning and management, they're the same. So my question is, how different are they? Anybody from the others? I hope I can hear from the others. Our exciting, anybody?
Professor.
Sulfi? Okay, Sulfi.
I think the difference between the strategic plan and strategic management is strategic plan is inside of strategic management. It's like management function is management planning, and then organizing, executing, and what the other controlling. So the planning is inside of strategic management, I think. That's it. Thank you.
No, but when you do strategic planning, is it part of strategic management?
Management, yes.
You're the same?
Yes. I think.
So why do people call it strategic management and not anymore strategic planning? Anybody? Yeah. Why? Let's just use one term. Let's just use strategic planning. But why is it that we talk about, your courses in the undergrad, in the masters, you use the word strategic management. How different is it from strategic planning? Okay, anybody? Come on. Those who are teaching strategic management. Because I myself, when I was starting to write the book, I was just thinking, and my faculty could not answer me. So, I tried to find out what will make it different. How come the subject is strategic management?
Prof. Helena,
Yes, Ibu,
may I
yes.
give ideas?
Yes.
Yeah, I think differences between a strategist management and a strategist planning is that about, I think the strategy management is how to ongoing planning, like how to monitoring, analysis, and assessment.
Yeah.
And strategy planning, I think a process in which organization about their vision for the future, like that.
Mhm. So strategic management, no vision in the future, Ibu. When you have strategic management, you have no vision in the future.
Yeah, actually same, but that's specifically for strategic management for the process, but strategic management, so that's ongoing, that the process or the planning and how to monitoring and how to get the analysis and assess of all about how to organization needs to meet its that goals.
Okay, I have a question. If I were to ask you, how do you want to study? How do you want to call the course? Strategic planning or strategic management?
I want to make strategic management.
You want to use strategic management. So we're correct.
Yes.
We're using strategic management. Okay. Anybody? I just want to make you think, you know. Ibu 3, you have anything in mind? Oh, you're smiling. Yeah. No, just, you know, just want to find out how, you know, you think about it, you know. Okay, sir, let me call the others, you know. 3, you want to say something? Just smiling?
Yes, I think it is better to say that the first one is strategic planning first, strategic planning, and then strategic management. Strategic planning is to make the optimal strategic, and strategic management is to increase or to add some more analysis, formulation, and implementation of the best planning we have already do.
Okay,
I
you're
think it is better. I will give it in the I think you can see it is the difference is in the cheat box, cheat box. So strategic
in the chat.
planning is
Strategic
more
planning is
directed
more directed to
to
making
making decision about the
optimal
optimal,
strategy.
and then strategic management is focused on the result of the implementing. So it is something like first strategic planning first, and then after we can get the optimum decision, and then we go to the strategic management, which is broader than strategic planning.
Dr. B, you're thinking so deeply. You're thinking so deeply. So, okay, you're
Thank you.
thinking so deeply. You become so what? So cognitive. Okay. One more. Yeah, thank you very much for that explanation, Dr. B. One more. Okay. You know, yes. Okay. Because the answer is so simple. Sir Fankar, you want to say something?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Okay. As I think the difference between strategic planning and the strategic management is strategic planning is the formulation how to make direction of organization. So to plan an organization direction is strategic planning, and then on the other hand, strategic management is how to achieve the plan. Strategic planning, for example, what's the process, and then planning until executing of the planning. I think so. Thank you.
Okay. I think all your answers are correct, but let me give you my answer. Okay, let me give you my answer. Okay.
That's
In fact, I was all of your answers are correct. Actually, you know, strategic planning, they just want, you know, but if you look at the definition of strategic management and strategic planning, the definition of strategic management is actually strategic planning. Okay, actually, they're the same. Okay, but what will make them different? Okay, that's why we call the subject strategic management and strategic planning. Because in strategic planning, when you have a situation, right? What do you plan? You plan unique answers, or, you know, unique tools. You apply unique tools to the situation, right? So for example, if the company is encountering very poor sales, let's say the hotel is not making good money now because of the pandemic. So you go into strategic planning to be able to find ways to increase, okay, so that people will go to your hotel. But what is strategic management? You have strategic management because it contains all the tools, right? When you study strategic management, you will study all the tools whether they are quality tools, productivity tools, whether they are behavioral tools, okay? There are many tools. So when you go into strategic management, you get exposed to all the tools, okay? But when you go into strategic planning, you will only apply that which your company needs, correct? So that's the difference. So I think all of you are correct in that way. So that's why you have a book that contains all the tools. And then from there, I have a situation in the company, I will just get some tools to be able to apply them. Am I right? Can we, so do you agree with it? Sulfi,
Agree,
do you
bro.
agree with it?
Agree, bro.
Yeah. So it's correct. I mean, like Ibu Wawat was saying, yes, because very in planning, it's very particular. But when you have a strategic book, whatever it is, or a manual, then you know that you can just get any of them and apply them. It's like you go to the restaurant, you have so many foods to eat, buffet, but you will only eat one or two. You choose only, correct? Or you go to the mall, you see many clothes, but you just choose one or two clothes. So strategic planning is very particular, but you have it all there. Am I right? I hope I answered your question. You agree with
Yes,
me?
Felina.
Yes, yes. So any
According,
comment? Yes?
yeah, in my opinion, if you talk about process of the business in organization, you
Mhm.
can say that strategic planning is a particular activity. But
Yes.
if you want to uh, talk about the organization direction for a long time, long run, for
Oh, yeah.
example, to create vision, that's strategic planning. And then strategic management is how to achieve the plan of organization. I think so. So strategic planning, according to me, can be very particularly for effective activities, but also can be an overall of the planning of the organization.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah, I
you.
agree. Actually, that is what I'm saying. Excuse me. Sorry, it's late in the afternoon here already. Nighttime, I had to open the lights. Okay, so yeah, it's true. Yeah, so that's why we said you have a whole set of all these tools, quality tools, productivity tools, behavioral tools, and then management tools, and you only choose in the strategic planning what you need. Okay, so in other words, planning is within strategic management. Okay, as simple as that. Okay, anyway. So are there any questions with our definition for strategic management?
Professor,
Yes, yes.
can we say that strategic management is can say like SWOT analysis? You said that earlier that strategic management is looking inside and outside organization. Is that correct,
Yeah.
Professor?
Yeah, SWOT analysis is just a tool for assessing both the internal and the external environment. So there are many tools in studying. For example, we're so used to SWOT analysis. You say, I think you know strength and weaknesses, they're internal to the organization. And then when you go threats and opportunities, they're external to the organization. But however, there are other ways of, you can use balance scorecard, okay, instead of SWOT analysis, or you can apply 7S McKinsey. Yeah, so you can use other methods. In fact, even the case study method can be used also. So in other words, that's what I'm saying. We cannot just say that SWOT analysis is only for strategic management. There are other methods that you can use. That's why it's a tool. I say it's a tool for looking at the environment. See, so in strategic management, you study all the tools. Okay, but maybe in your company, you just want to use SWOT analysis. Right? So that's what I say when you go into strategic management. Very good question, Pasulfi. Okay,
you,
any
Pa.
more questions about strategic management? If you have any question, just open your microphone and just tell me, what you think. So I guess we're very clear on that, because actually, when you study management, for example, and even now nursing or education for that matter, very important actually is strategic management. So it's not only in business that you use strategic management. Even when you run a school, okay, you need strategic management. If you run a hospital, for those who are pursuing their doctorate in nursing, we have also a subject called strategic management. Even in education, you run a institution, a university, then you need strategic management. So what I want to tell you is, those who are good strategists, okay, are very expensive people. Very expensive. Why? Because they're the ones who will lead the organization to success. Okay, even with me, when I see my deans and program chairs who are strategic, I take care of them. I take care of them. I make sure that they have higher salaries. I talk to the president and I tell the president, this person is so good. We should keep our people, because, but if the person is not strategic, no, I don't say anything about him to the president. I don't even say something good about, See, do you know what I mean? So strategic management is something that is so beautiful, actually. So whether it's personally or organizationally, okay? So Dr. B, what time do we end our lecture? Dr. B, where are you?
Yes, the lecture is from 4:30 up to 6:30
Okay.
Manila
Oh,
time. So
we can continue now, right?
Yes, yes,
Okay.
you have another one hour.
Okay. So I just get excited when I teach about strategic management, right? I hope I will not teach the traditional way of strategic management, because you're all experts in strategic management, right? You're all experts already. But let me just, I will not talk about vision, mission. All of you, you know that already. I will just talk about, okay, I will now go back to the one I showed. Let me just go back to my first PowerPoint presentation about the strategy framework, because that is also exciting. I get excited when I teach strategic management here. Okay.
I'm sorry, Prof. Marina.
Okay. Okay. So let me just, I'll go back now to my PowerPoint presentation. Okay. I hope you can see that. Did you see it? Did my new share now? Oh, not yet.
We can see it.
You can?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So let me just make it smaller so that I can do my job. Okay. Just there. Okay. So now let me just show you another framework. Again, tell me if I'm correct or wrong. Okay. So while I was looking at strategy, I called strategy as multifaceted. You know what's multifaceted? It has many faces. Okay. And I talk about strategy in three different ways. So I came out with this simple diagram, and I say strategy is a concept. Okay. Strategy is a tool, and strategy is people. So when you are in a company and you're so good, you are a strategy in yourself. Okay, so now let me continue with my, okay. So what is the meaning of concept? Okay, so this is now what I, you know, uh, when I look at concept, for example, and I say, okay, strategy is a concept. And when I say strategy is a concept, I talk about different types of concept. The first one is what we call intellectual elasticity. Number 2 is mindset. Number 3 is learning. Number 4 is natural capital. And number 6 is intellectual capital. Okay. Now, when I speak of strategy, okay, when I say, I'll just go over them. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, strategy is intellectual elasticity. Okay, and okay. So I am taking from the concept of Kenichi Omei, who is supposed to be, having the mind of the strategist. And this is what he wrote in 1982. He said, strategies stem from creative minds and not from rote memory. Beautiful, right? He says, there are no magic formulas for creating brilliant formulas, right? So if you look at it, when you say, you look at strategy, it is a concept. It is a way of looking. Now, when I say intellectual elasticity, okay, look at yourself and you have a rubber band. You know what's a rubber band? Yeah, it's a rubber band where, when you pull it, it is very elastic. You can pull it, okay, and make it even bigger, right? So what Kenichi Omei was telling us is our mind, our intellect is so elastic. In other words, the mind of a strategist is so elastic. And because of that, there are minds that will create creative minds, innovations. And that's why you look at inventors. Okay, I want to say that it's so hard to find people who are now what? Creative, no? When I say creativity, I always look for the word differentiation, no? I use the word, I don't know, maybe I just believe in the word, this one. I say people just differentiate, no? Okay, that's the word. I find it so hard to use the word creative. But seems like in this world, it's so hard now to create something. Because when you create something, you are supposed to be an inventor, right? An inventor. But, okay, when you say, for example, the cell phone it was not invented because if you look in the 14th centuries, you have Alexander Graham Bell who invented the telephone. So what did Alexander Graham Bell? He was the one who created the telephone. But like you go into telephones, our telephone companies, they just made it smaller. So they just differentiated. So with me, I use the word differentiated. But what Kenichi Omei said is, you can be creative. You just don't memorize. So it doesn't mean that if you're good in school, you are strategic, you have the mind of the strategist. No. You graduated with honors. Does it mean that you are, you have the mind of a strategist? No, not necessarily. So when you say it is not rote memory, because rote memory is just memorizing. But when you invent something, okay, that's beautiful. And therefore we said there are many, people, I think I want to believe, who has the mind of a strategist. So that is a concept. That's my first concept. Okay, I will now go to the second one, mindset. Okay, and let me go now to the next concept here. Okay, so it says strategy is a mindset. It's a mindset. Okay, it's a way of thinking. So this concept was from Richard Pascale in his book, Managing the Edge. And he says, what is strategy? It's a way of thinking. It is an attitude. Okay? Unlike Kenichi was talking about strategy is creativity. Okay? But this one, Richard Pascali said, it's a mindset. It is how you think. It is your attitude, right? So it's a different way of looking at strategy. It's a mindset. It is creativity, number one. Number two, it's a mindset. So what does Pascali says? He says that
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I think Dr. Felina internet having a problem.
Di sananya aliran mungkin.
Yeah. Dr. Felina, you are muted.
okay, nothing feels like success. You are successful, and then being successful is a failure. Oh, come on. Anything. I just want to find out your mind. What does it mean? Okay. Richard Pascali says it's a mindset. Okay. And nothing feels like success. Okay. If you read his book. So again, I want to get your thoughts about it.
Dr. Felina, sorry.
Yes.
Just now, actually, you are lost for a while, and now your slide is disappear.
My slide
Maybe-
disappeared.
Yes.
Okay, let me just share it with you. Okay, I'm sorry. This is the way I
No
will
problem. No
teach.
problem.
I will teach strategic management. Huh? I will not teach the one in the book. I will just teach you. I will just make you think. Okay. So let's go now to the Okay. Did you see this? Wait, I'll make it bigger.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
There.
Clear now.
Yeah, it's
Yep.
clear. It's a mindset. It's a way of thinking. It's a way of looking at things. And then if you read the last part, Richard Pascali says, nothing feels like success. You mean you are successful and you are failing? I have a question. How come? How come you are successful and then you are a failure? Does it not contradict? So why does Richard say that? I want you to think. Sorry, I'm teaching strategic management differently. Anybody? Just answer me, just open your microphone and then answer me. Oh, you're quiet. Come on.
Just like a water, a half water in the glass.
Okay.
You can see a half empty and a half full. A half empty means that there is a fail. But if we can say that it is a half full, it still have opportunity to increase. So it is a success, something like that.
Yeah. Okay. If you are a failure, okay. Okay. I'll give you some. I'll just make you think. Okay. Let's say you're the manager in a company. Manager in the company, and you earn money for the company. You earn money, and the company made money because of you. Are you a success? Of course, yes, right? Because you made money for the company. But how come Richard Pascale said, you are also a failure. Nothing feels like success. Okay, in what way is Richard saying that? You earn money for the company. Okay, anybody? Come on. I just want to hear from you. I want you to think. I want you to, enjoy our class and make you think. Yeah? Anybody? Oh, Hendra. May I know your thoughts about it, Hendra? Pahendra.
Yes, Prof.
Yeah.
I'm still follow, not yet question. Thank you.
Okay, about Nur Hayati. Did you listen to my question, Nur Hayati? Ibu? Okay, you made good money for the hospital, for example. You're the medical director and the hospital is making good money. So it is successful, right? So why will you consider it a failure? I'm not saying this, I'm just asking, looking at what Richard Pascale said. He gives this example. Nothing feels like success. Okay? About the others, come on. Okay? Anything, just want you to think about it. Henry. Okay, are you there? I hope you're
Yes, Prof.
yeah. So what do you think about it? You are in the company, you're so successful. You made good money, Henry, for your company. And then it says nothing feels like success. So that means you should not be successful anymore. So what is the meaning of that? Nothing feels like success. I want you to think about it. Just be happy, and say, how do I make myself strategic? Okay? None? Okay. So the meaning of that, if there's no one, let me answer it. Okay. What's the meaning of that? It says that, many times, when we are successful, right? And it's good that we are successful. Okay, very good that we are successful. However, when you become successful, you start to be complacent. You know what's the meaning of complacent? You'll just say, I'll not work anymore. Anyway, I am rich already. I am successful. I made money for the company, and you will not continue trying. So that is the meaning of what Pascale said, that you have the danger, of being complacent. What is the meaning of complacent? You will not continue trying to become more successful. So that is the meaning of what Richard Pascale said. Nothing feels like success. Okay, any question with that? So you see how people are, how they try to think about strategy. Okay, let's go to the third one. The third one is strategy is learning. Okay, who started that concept? That was written by Peter Senge. And Peter Senge wrote the book, The Fifth Discipline. And that was, in 1990. And it says, what is the meaning of learning? It says learning in companies, is easily identified and distinguished in activities. So again, learning, it includes innovation, differentiation, continuous improvement, continuous adaptation, and benchmarking. These are forms of learning domains. In other words, even if, when you are strategic, it's because you continuously learn. I am a PhD, I will stop learning. No. Strategy is continuous learning. And that is the the essence of the book of Peter Senge, his book, The Fifth Discipline. In other words, I may be successful. You may be successful. The company may be successful. But it keeps on going into what? Product development. It goes into product differentiation. It goes into marketing strategies. It looks into the environment. It looks at the market leader. I am the market challenger. I'll try to see what makes this company a market leader. You do benchmarking. In other words, the learning is continuous. Okay, so that is our third concept of strategy. It is creativity, number one. It is mindset. Number three, it is learning. Okay, let's now go to another concept of strategy. Okay. Okay. Now, the next concept is actually what? The next concept now is, okay, let me just put it now in, okay. So the next concept now is actually is natural capitalism. Okay. So I just hope I can make this bigger. Just a moment, no? Okay. So when I look at this, okay, there you are. So when you speak of strategy, is natural capitalism. So again, you have the book Natural Capitalism by Paul Hawken, Armory, and Hunter Lovins. And it looks at strategy now as a natural capital. So this time it looks at the outside and you say, strategy is also what we have. And the book on natural capitalism talks about natural capital, natural resources, talks about living systems and ecosystems. It talks about the environment. It talks about our mining. It talks about our natural resources. It talks about our rivers. It talks about our seas. It talks about our mangrove. It talks about our forests. It talks about our palm. Okay, our palm, the trees that we have, especially in Indonesia and Malaysia, we have palm trees. It talks about your natural capital. It is something that is, you know, that is in the country itself. And that's why you look at natural resources. It looks at the fishes that we have, you know, the animals that we have, you know, everything about our ecosystem. That is strategy. And so if you look at, for those who go into what we call national capitalism, this is a very nice dissertation where now the government is talking about development of natural resources. And that is what you call natural capital. So strategy is again natural capitalism. Right? Beautiful? So that's a beautiful concept. Okay? So any comments on that when you speak of natural resources? Okay? And that was a book written by Paul Hawken, Armory, and Hunter Lovins. So that's a beautiful concept of strategy. And then my last concept is intellectual capital. Okay, I'm the one who invented this. That was still in 2004. I wrote a book on intellectual capital. Okay, and I said, I'm sorry, I made mention about my name. Okay, but I talked about intellectual capital as a synergistic confluence and relationships of the organization's valued resources. And what does it mean? When you speak of intellectual capital, I look at the organization. Okay, I look at the organization, and there are things that are what? That are tangible and intangible. Okay, and when you say intangible, okay, You cannot see it. Cannot see it. You can just feel it in an organization. Again, if I go to a person, you cannot see that in a person, but you can feel that the person is a strategy. And that person creates an impact. So you see, there are people who are strategy in themselves. Okay, but later on, we will go into that. But I'm now looking at the concept of intellectual capital. And then why? Because it is critical to what? It is critical to organizational success. And it makes a difference. And sometimes it is only the difference. So you see, why is it that some organizations are very successful? Or why is it that some people, there are some persons who are very successful? Because they're different, right? They're different. And so when you see people, okay, but later on I'll go to people. I'm looking only at concept. And I talk about intellectual capital. Actually, I wrote a book in 2004, yeah, about intellectual capital. And it was actually, I used the concept of monopoly, but in 2011, I think Malcolm Gladwell wrote a book and he entitled it Outliers. I don't know whether you've read the book of Malcolm Gladwell, Outliers. Actually, the same concept I wrote in 2004. So I did not copy from Malcolm Gladwell. This was the result of my, yeah, anyway, just my trying to conceptualize. Anyway, so that's my book. It's an, it's a seminar that I usually give to people in the industry about intellectual capital. Any question, right? Any question now? Any question about it? So, let me see. So I think I got lost again.
No, you are.
I'm there?
Yes, you are.
Okay. So that is my concept of intellectual capital. Okay. Yeah. Is it good? Yeah. Okay. Can I just expound on my book? So it says, just possessing common knowledge, may or may not assure survival. Okay. In other words, if you are just how to drive a car, okay, that's not intellectual capital, because just driving a car will just make you survive. Or let's say if you're a housewife, just being able to cook is just survival. But if you own intellectual capital, you have ownership of intellectual capital, you will generate Li, L-I. Actually, I invented this term. My definition of Li is, it refers to any gain, any profit, any advantage, any benefit. Okay? So when I say you own intellectual capital, that means that it is more than survival. And it will make the organization become a monopoly. So I think, some of you are economists here. You know what is a monopoly? A monopoly will be, one of a kind. Somebody, like for example, remember in the economy, we don't want monopolistic, organizations. Yeah. But can you become, if you notice, Mark Zuckerberg, let's say for Facebook, was actually sued for antitrust because they become monopolistic. Okay, and so they were forced to give up some of their companies. Okay, but in a person, can you be a monopoly? Of course you can. You can be one of a kind. You can say, I'm gonna hire this person because he is a monopoly. He's so good that I will pay any salary because it's a monopoly. Or, yeah, if you're a good accountant, you're a good financial officer, you're a good human resource manager, you're a good production individual, you know, you're a good entrepreneur, you know, you are a monopoly in yourself. Okay, so I was looking at trying to become monopolistic in a nice way, because I think in economics you don't like monopoly, and therefore what do? You're able to create your leverage. Okay, the company is able to create its leverage. The company can establish dominance and bring comparative advantage, because if you're a monopoly, it's going to be different with the others. And then it is being the best. It is attaining the highest position, amassing wealth, or creating monetary advantage. So actually, Li is the word Li is a Mandarin word. You know, it's a Chinese word. It's a Mandarin word that I asked somebody to help me to invent that word. Okay, a word that will, and I saw the word, in Mandarin, Li. Okay, so I use that word. So what is intellectual capital? Intellectual capital will include intellectual property ownership. You're an inventor. Human resource assets. If you're so good, people, you talk about people assets. You talk about market leadership, or what you call market assets. And of course, you talk about technology assets, or what we call infrastructure. So therefore, my concept here is possession of intellectual capital is supposed to be strategy. So your thoughts about it? Yeah. Any question with it? Okay. So do you agree with the thoughts? So let's go over them. We say that strategic management, number one is creativity. Number two, it is learning. It is a mindset. It's a way of thinking. Number three, it is learning. Yeah. Number four is it's natural capital or natural resources. And number five, it is intellectual capital. Okay, that's my concept of strategy as a concept. So any question, anything you'd like to share or what?
Professor,
Yes.
is this the same between being strategic and being political?
Again, can you speak louder?
Is this the same between being political and being strategic?
Oh no, there are many politicians who are political, but unfortunately are not strategic. Okay, let's just look at it. I'm not referring to, okay, maybe I will refer to Donald Trump. I think you know Donald Trump. Yes? Yeah, he was the former president in the United States. Am I right?
Yes, Professor.
Yeah, they had the midterm election. Okay, and when he had the midterm election, what happened to him? Okay, people were saying, look, they said like that. Donald Trump is a Republican. Okay, he's a Republican. And so, that's a moment, no? He's a Republican. And so, people were saying that because the Republicans are red, okay? And so they said something like, oh, we will have a red wave, said like that. So what is the meaning of red wave? It means that most of their candidates, the Republican candidate, will what? Will win the election, because they just had the election about 3 or 4 days ago. So everybody were saying that the Democrats will lose. Okay. So they were so happy. And they would say they will control the Senate, that's their parliament, the lower and the upper house, the parliament. But unfortunately, in the upper house, they lost. Okay? And in the lower house, probably they will win, but not too much. They were talking about, we will have like 30 seats. But now they're talking about maybe less than 5 seats. So they were political. Donald Trump was political, but he was not strategic. You get what I mean? Now, who will win the one who wins the election? Well, it's up to them how they create they are strategic, and therefore they're able to win. Okay. Now, if you ask, let me go to the Philippines. Okay. Philippines, for example, how come that the Philippines, it is Marcos, who was the son of the former dictator, who won? Because he spent so much money. He was very strategic. For 6 years, he was already doing online, influencing young people. He was giving away money. Is that being strategic? Of course. He was very strategic. So he won. He had so much money. The money he stole, his father stole from the government of the Philippines. He used it. Okay, anyway, it's not his money. Okay, so he was strategic to that light. In that way, he was very strategic. Okay, do you get it? So strategy is all about, can you use strategy in the right way? Of course. But can you use strategy in the wrong way? Of course. So politics can be what? Can be right or wrong. Huh? Of course, we'd like to use positive, strategy and not, okay? So any more questions with, well, politicians can be strategic, of course.
Me,
Yes.
Prof.
Yes.
Felina.
Yes.
I'm Mawat Srinawati. I want to ask you that's about how to design critical thinking in management education to improve intellectual capitals.
Oh, you're talking about critical thinking. Okay, critical thinking is similar to strategic thinking. Okay, what is critical thinking? Are you a teacher, my dear?
Yes, I am lecturer in Indonesian.
In education?
Yes.
Yeah, your field is in education, right?
Yes.
Okay, one of the more difficult things to develop actually is critical thinking in our students, because many times you speak of just teaching the students to memorize, rote memory. I think you're familiar with rote memory. Okay, now when you speak of critical thinking, there are certain methods that you can use. You can use problem-based learning. You can use experiential learning. You can use project-based learning. You can use Harkness discussion. There are many ways. But I tell you, probably, if you come to the Philippines, you can observe our basic education, because PWU is one of the pioneer in critical thinking. We are very proud of the university because our students are taught the critical thinking way. And we call it the JASAMS way. So PWU is very good on that. I just want to, to just tell it to you. We are very good in, we are very good in critical thinking. Maybe when you come to Manila, I can arrange a session with our principal, okay, and you can observe how we do it. Because many of the owners of schools are graduates of PWU, or they work with PWU. The Department of Education in the Philippines, they try to copy, and they ask us to give seminars on critical thinking. I hope I answered your question. Yeah, for our education, you can come to the Philippines. I can arrange. You can ask Dr. B. You can visit our school. We have 2 schools, one in Manila and the other in Quezon City. And you can see how the teachers are teaching critical thinking. Just tell me so I can schedule the right time where they can, you can see them how they do it. Okay. Okay. Any more questions?
Miss Melina, 1 years ago, I concerned you about critical thinking research because I already publish on journal. So it's that especially for the focus critical thinking in 1 years ago.
Okay. So what do you want? What do you want me to do?
I interesting about that. So I want to got critical thinking in management education.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. So, yeah. Any more about critical thinking? Very good. But we are good in critical thinking. Our university is very good in that. In fact, some of the best schools, they come to us to observe us. Okay. Any more questions with that?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Some more? So, okay, can we, Dr. B, can we stop and then we'll continue with our strategy? I'll talk about strategy tool because it's a whole thing about strategy tool, and the other
Yes.
one is strategy people.
Yes, please.
Yeah, because
continue.
I may extend, and the next parts are very interesting. So I hope I got you interested in strategic management. I will not teach strategic management in the traditional and conservative way. I just want to make you think, because you are all, pursuing a doctoral degree, and therefore I'd like you to be critical in the way you look at things. Yeah, and I think that's the goal for a PhD degree. Yeah. So any comments? And although it's just 6:10, but can we just close our discussion, and we can have Dr. V, we can come on a Monday and continue again.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
with
Okay.
continuation of strategy.
Yeah. So today we are finished for the management, strategic management, and the next week I think the second part is the strategic of
as a tool and as people.
As a tool, yes, as a tool and as a people.
Yeah.
So thank you very much, Prof. Felina, and all of the audience. Today we are finished, and I'm very happy that I think all of the students are present today, and it will become a good study for them. And of course, there will be an examinations for strategic management and also research method who also taught by Professor Felina. Thank you very much, Prof. Felina.
Yeah, I just hope my wish is I hope you're not absent in my class.
Yes,
sayang if you're absent. Sorry, sayang.
Yes, sayang.
Because I teach differently. Sorry, if I appear to be what? I'm not arrogant. Sorry, I'm very humble. But I just have ideas that are different. Am I right? Yeah,
Yes.
I teach differently. So I want you to, when you go now and go into your organization, you will also be strategic in the way you're thinking. So I will not teach, again, sorry, I will not teach strategic management in the traditional way. I will not talk about vision, mission. You know that. I will not talk about culture. You know all of these things. But I will just make you think. And that is you know. Okay.
Okay, thank you very
Okay.
much.
So thank you very much, and yeah, good night. Yeah,
Okay,
here
good
it's
night.
night time
Thank you,
already.
Prof.
Thank you,
Thank
Prof.
you.
I
Felina.
hope you learned
Thank you,
something from me.
Prof. Felina.
Makasih.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Prof.
Selamat Prof.
Thank you,
Selamat
Prof.
Prof.
Bambang. Thank you,
Yeah.
Yes, thank
everyone.
you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Ibu
You are
Felina.
welcome.
See you.
Thank you, Prof. Felina.
Bye.